Hey everyone again. My name is Keith. As you may or may not know, I am a certified AP psychology teacher for the last 20 years. I've been studying psychology for about 25 years, a current PhD candidate in applied psychology, and I put together this AP Exam Survival series for you after so many years of teaching this subject. Right about this point in your journey, here are some things that you can do in case you fall behind, in case you feel like you are underwater, you're getting stressed out about stuff. These are actionable, simple things that you can get done on your own, starting today, and is going to increase your impact on exam day. No question about it, for sure. All right, so without further ado, here we go. What to know and what to practice now. All right, so I always like to know the person I'm up against. I always find that it leaves less questions and things to sort of wrestle my mind around on game day, on show day, on exam day. So the exam this year is different from every other year, as you probably already know. 65% of the exam is going to be concept application, which is a far larger number than it's ever been before. Research methods and design, 25%, again, much larger. Data interpretation, about 10, again, much larger. Argumentation, they are going to test that, but it's only on the FRQs. If you have experience doing the FRQs so far, you've seen it, right? It's in the EBQ. It's going to ask you for some argumentation. Last year, so all the prior years, all of the exams have been, if you had just studied all of the vocabulary and the definitions, you would have been okay-ish. I mean, about 58, 60% of the exam, you would have been all right. But not for the FRQs, for the MCQs. This year, not as much, for sure, if at all. I mean, with all of the practice exams I've done so far, I've seen very few questions that are really just relying on whether or not you know the definition of a term, for sure. Used to be very vocabulary heavy. This year it's very concept heavy, very concept heavy. That means that they are going to talk to you as if they're going to assume you already know what a term is, right? So they're going to speak to you as if like it's just a casual knowledge that you know what this term is, or concept or theory or whatever, and then ask you a second question on top of that. So you need to know the vocabulary term enough to be able to understand it in context, in conversation, for whatever the question is actually asking you for. It's always been 100 multiple choice questions in 90 minutes. This year is 75 multiple choice questions in 90 minutes. That doesn't excite me because I know College Board and I don't trust them, to be honest with you. I don't think that they're like, here guys, like, hope you guys get everything done. We've made less questions for you. Not at all. All of these questions are going to require more time from you, and that shows. I think the average would be like a minute 4 or something like that per question. It's going to require more thought process. There are much longer texts than they usually are. The graphs and data that they're going to ask you to interpret and or calculate, not a lot, a couple calculations, really simple stuff. When you are taking the exam, there are no wrong points. There are no wrong answers. Wrong answers don't count against you, right? Just non-answered questions. So if you don't know an answer to something, you need to make your best guess. If it is a topic that is completely foreign to you, that you are sure you've never seen before, try to pull apart the term concept. Try to use context clues to figure out what's going on in the question and make your best guess off of that. If it's something that you're a little shaky on, I recommend just flagging it and answering it and flagging it and coming back later. I know normally we know that your gut intuition is not as accurate as everybody would love to think that it is. What we do know about your gut, however, is that if it's in a topic that you are very, very familiar with, your gut is actually going to help you in that instance. But if it's a topic that you don't know a lot about, your gut's going to steer you wrong. So that's science. Your FRQs, a lot of students still don't really grasp this. The two FRQs, 7 points each, 14 points total. 14 points make up a third of your exam grade, a third. So practicing them becomes extremely important. It shouldn't be your sole focus, but 14 points makes up a third of your score. So we're going to talk about how to get good practice in for those FRQs for sure. This is not a vocabulary test. You will, especially in the free response questions, you will lose points if you only define the term. They want to see application. Do you know what this means? Like, prove to me by using this term in this real life scenario or inside of this experiment, prove to me that you know what this term is and how it's used. Think like a grader. Always think like a grader. I always tell my students, you need to be the smartest person in the room on exam day. I need you to outsmart College Board. Outsmart them. And a great way to do that is, try to find out. Sometimes they have, they throw a bunch of nonsense in the question, and it turns out none of that nonsense counts towards. It's not even part of what the question is asking. They just throw a bunch of fluff around it to mask it, disguise it, and see if you can still recognize what's going on there. When you're answering something on the FRQ, ask yourself like a grader would, because a human will be grading your FRQs. Did they explain how the term fits the scenario? Did they explain how it links back? So as an example, operant conditioning is when behavior is shaped by consequences. You ain't getting a point for that. That's a nice definition, but you ain't getting a point for that. Operant conditioning is shown when the student studies more after being praised, showing behavior increased due to positive reinforcement. Boom, get out my way. That is a point. That shows that you know how that term works in context. What can we do with the time that's remaining? First of all, I need you to hear me. You have more time than you think. If you start strategizing and using your time wisely and executing a lot of the things that you've learned from the learning and memory chapters, you will do great. You will do great. Lots of rehearsal, lots of strategized sessions of studying. You can rely on it on exam day, I promise you, for sure. Know the concepts in and out. The old AP exams are actually great practice for this, since as I said, they were very vocabulary definition heavy, especially the FRQ. So the FRQs in past exams, they'll give you a big old scenario and then give you 6 terms or 5 terms and say, apply each of these terms to this scenario that we've just provided. Amazing. It's actually asking you to apply the knowledge, not just regurgitate whatever the definition is. So using that is going to be your one of your best tools. The old exams are going to be one of your best tools for sure. If you're using the David Myers book, return to Unit 0 and study that, because that's review that, because that's a lot of and the topics discussed in Unit 0 are where you learn how to apply terms in research or in statistics, which is something we do a ton of in psychology. And I know if you have the David Myers textbook, especially the most updated AP one, I think it's 4th edition, you got a lot of practice questions in there. David doesn't sleep on that. He adds a lot of practice questions in there that look very similar to how the new exam is going to look. Use the Triforce of Power. Say it, write it, apply it. Say it, write it, apply it. When you have a definition, if you're going to use Quizlet, which is fine, to make sure that you know each one of these terms. But next, your next two steps after seeing that term is write it down on whatever form of note taking makes you comfortable, the most comfortable. Then apply it in a sentence with an example. Apply it in a sentence with an example. This is a great strategy to help you get ready for the FRQs. I suggest strongly, because with me, my students know that, when a baseball player is about to go up to bat, they put a weight on the end of their baseball bat and they swing it and they swing it and they swing it. So when they take the weight off and they get up to bat, it's a lot easier to swing when it counts, right? So we do that in my classroom. We practice by challenging ourselves more than what is necessary and what is expected on the AP exam. All this to tell you, I recommend going to Google Scholar, pick a topic that you find interesting, anything. It could be weight training, it could be sports psychology, it could be dancer, kinesthetic psychology, or whatever, self-esteem. Throw it into Google Scholar. Pull up an article, a real peer-reviewed article, and read it and study it. It's going to take a lot of attention and a lot of work to do it. But when you get used to reading those peer-reviewed articles the way they are, like actually published, the ones that you're going to read on the FRQs are not going to be. They're going to be very easy by comparison. When you're done reading that peer-reviewed article, ask yourself the same questions that the AAQ is going to ask you. You already know what the AAQ is going to ask you. It's in my YouTube video. I will throw a link in there for you so you can go and watch that video to see what the questions are. The questions are always going to be the same. It's just going to be the topics that are going to be a little bit different. I pay for ChatGPT, so I asked ChatGPT what would be the best prompt for someone using the free version who wanted to use ChatGPT as a study partner for the AP exam. And this is the prompt that I got in return. You're an AP psychology tutor helping me prepare for the 2025 AP exam. Create 20 multiple choice questions based on the updated exam style. Focus on applied scenarios, not just definitions. Each question should test my ability to identify key concepts and context. Include the correct answer, a brief explanation for why it's right, and why other options are wrong. Topics I want to focus on today are whatever. I would even alter this a little bit and say, allow me the opportunity to answer first, and then provide me with, if I got the question right, tell me why I'm right, and if I got the question wrong, tell me why I was wrong and what the correct answer was. More stuff, guys, from the learning and memory chapter. I say pick a section, pick a subject, pick anything, like operant conditioning. Do some quick priming for yourself, like go look over your notes or the textbook on operant conditioning. Just kind of look at the bold stuff, the headings, maybe the italics, anything that's in the margins. Then close the book and then start to speak about that topic out loud and try to include as much detail as you possibly can, and use as many terms, concepts, everything as you can possibly pull out of your long-term memory. This is called chunking, right? I also suggest discussing and teaching each other with classmates, people that you take AP psychology with. Why? Because of context. The students that you study, that you learned with, are going to help you, retrieve that memory of the concepts a lot more easily. You still have time to lean on spaced learning a little bit every single day. A little bit every single day. I mean, take a break here and there, but like a little bit every single day is still going to work to your benefit. Do not try to hold it out all for like the 1 or 2 nights right before. Use chunking. Acoustic, semantic, self-referent. Remember levels of deep processing? Acoustic is is how it sounds, right? I mean, I had a student who turned all of the regions of the brain and their functions into a song in my second year of teaching. 8 years later, she came back to visit my class and asked me if I remembered the brain song, and she sung it right there on the spot. 8 years later, she still remembered it because she put it in a song. Acoustic's great. It's a great tool to use. I suggest using a song that you already are familiar with, but they made up their own tune. Semantic, give it some sort of meaning. I'm going to include with this session today, I'm going to send all of you a something for the brain, actually, that's going to help you do some semantic coding. It has a list of a bunch of brain regions, and the question is, in 1 or 2 sentences, tell me how each one of these brain areas can aid you in the task of driving a car. That's amazing. Self-referent. Don't forget, man, you are your brain's favorite topic. You are your brain's favorite topic. So if you apply, it's psychology. This is the study of people. If you apply what you're learning to something in your own personal life, you're going to hang on to that for the rest of your life. Mnemonic devices, again, you'll see it in the brain, the worksheet that I have that I'm going to send all of you right after this session. Yeah, I don't have any mnemonic devices off the top of my head, but they're on there. I think you'll like them. I like them. All right, so here are the things I would do right this second if I were you. If I were you, for sure. Remember to do some retrieval and chunking. Retrieval exercises and chunking. So don't, it's not enough to just ask, like, see a term and then like flip over the Quizlet card and then see the definition on the back and be like, oh, okay, all right. And then see the term, flip it over, and then see the definition and continue like that. That's not studying. That's reading. Reading is different than studying. See a term, use your own words to provide a definition, and then give an example of how it functions in the real world. Give some sort of example, including that term. Remember to use chunking to help you out. Like every time that you finish studying, like, I just used operant conditioning. So let's say that you get to observational learning, social learning theory. So that whole area with Bandura and the Bobo doll experiment, when you're done reading that, close the book, think about it, say it, talk about it out loud. You're like wrapping up that little section in a bow, and all of these tiny little sections with bows on them, which is fun, are going to be easier for your mind to keep together than just sitting there and like going every single page for as long as you possibly can until you're exhausted. That's not going to prove useful. Use the things you know to help you get through the next couple of weeks or however long we have. Explain terms with 3 examples. This is such a good tool. And again, I'm going to come back to, you have more time than you think. You might think like 3 is far too many, I'm just going to do 1. 1 is good, 2 is great, 3 is amazing. You have this time. Do yourself this favor and retrieve these terms and explain them with 3 examples that you could possibly think of. And I would get to start using ChatGPT as soon as possible. If you need any access to the old AP exams, somebody on Reddit posted a Google Drive. They had a ton of old exams and a few new ones like Barron's and Princeton and stuff like that. If I can find that link, I will send that to you guys. But for sure, get to using ChatGPT as like someone to bounce, do like rapid fire question and answer with them. If you get real good at it, you could even, if you find a free response question, you can upload it to ChatGPT and then say, make me 4 more like this. I mean, that's going to be the gold mine. All right. One more time. You need to trust the time that you still have here. You need to trust the time that you still have here. You have more time than you think. If something is hard to remember, that just means that you need to find a different way into your long-term memory. It doesn't mean you're never going to remember it. If you've already tried mnemonic devices, try some semantic encoding, try some acoustic encoding, try applying it to your life. Your long-term memory is good. Your memory is good. If you're having trouble getting some things in there to stick, you need to find a different route to get it in there, and that could be the one that helps it stick for sure. Don't reread. That's reading. Reading's different from studying. Retrieve, explain, apply. Um, get a small session done today. Today. Get a small session of studying done, but make it focused, make it purposeful and impactful. Use some of the things you already know works. And once you have that session done today, call it a win, right? There's an element of like furiously studying for the AP exam that requires some relaxation and a little bit of celebration. Push yourself back from your desk and remember to take a breather. Those are just as important towards studying as the actual process of studying itself. Focus on what's tested. Don't focus on everything. David Myers is a brilliant textbook author. I've been using him since the beginning. But he has a lot of stuff in there that will not be on the exam. I have been using the course exam and description from College Board like crazy with my students to even help me recreate my curriculum for the school year. That's where you're going to find exactly what's going to be on the exam and a bunch of stuff that's not going to be asked on the exam. You've got this. Stay calm, stay smart, stay focused. Be strategic from here on out, okay? No more sitting back and flipping through pages in the textbook. You need to be directed, right? And like have a pointed approach towards this. If this was helpful for you, stick around. There's going to be more, and I'm going to release them as fast as I possibly can. If you're here live with me today, thank you for being here with me live. You can still grab all of the replays for all of the next sessions that are coming up later, but we'll talk about that another time. For right now, I need you to just implement just one thing that you've learned today into what you're going to use tonight. That ChatGPT prompt, I'm gonna give you my notes here. Like a PDF of this entire presentation, so you can get that prompt for yourself. Okay, guys, deep breath. You got this. I got a ton more stuff to talk to you about leading up to the exam. We're gonna do this together. I promise. I promise. I promise. Good luck studying. Please let me know if you need anything. You know how to reach me.